Daisu, Build the Gate. Chapter 1, The First Card. The first card felt lighter than Marcus expected. It was just cardstock, matte finish, black background, neon green lettering, a clean square of coded geometry in the center that looked unimpressive to anyone who didn't understand what it carried, but to him, it felt like infrastructure compressed into 4 inches of paper. He stood outside a barbershop in Oak Cliff just after sunrise, the city still stretching awake, traffic thin and sky washed in pale blue. In his hand were 50 of those cards. In his chest was something heavier than nerves and stronger than doubt. Alicia arrived 10 minutes later with 2 canvas totes and a clipboard tucked beneath her arm. She wore no expression of spectacle, only focus. She greeted him with a nod rather than a smile. You printed on heavier stock, it lasts longer in pockets. Landing page loads fast, that matters. He watched her, always watching how she tested things rather than reacted to them. Marcus believed in ignition. Alicia believed in proof. It was the first thing that had drawn him toward her, the way she never dismissed vision but refused to romanticize it. The shop owner opened the door and propped it wide. The smell of antiseptic and aftershave drifted into the morning air. Y'all ready? We're not asking for donations, just registration. Every resident, every business. If it helps the kids, I'll put it by the register. 15% goes directly into the community circulation fund. 20% supports the anti-bullying initiative. It's structured, measurable, transparent. The owner looked at her differently than he had looked at Marcus. Not skeptical, reassured. That's good. People tired of vague. As they left the shop, Marcus felt the first flicker of something tangible. This is how it starts. This is how it's tested. They walked side by side down the sidewalk, distributing cards into hands that accepted them casually, skeptically, curiously. Most people nodded politely. A few scanned immediately. Some asked questions. Marcus answered from instinct, from belief. Alicia answered from structure, from documentation, and somewhere between those 2 approaches, trust began forming in strangers' eyes. By noon, they had placed cards in 3 barbershops, a church vestibule, and a family-owned cafe. Sweat clung to Marcus' Cork's collar. Alicia's clipboard was now filled with handwritten notes. Questions people had asked, suggestions offered, concerns raised. You write everything down. I don't build from memory. I build from patterns. He studied her profile in the sunlight, the way her brow furrowed when she concentrated, the way she held silence without filling it unnecessarily. Do you think this works? She didn't answer immediately. It works if participation becomes habit instead of hype. That's what I'm counting on. That's what you're hoping for. You stabilize me. You accelerate me. The river moved quietly below them, reflecting a skyline that seemed distant and enormous all at once. The city wasn't aware yet that something was shifting beneath it, that 2 people were walking its streets with coded invitations in their hands, asking for nothing more dramatic than commitment. Register, participate, align. Marcus felt something unfamiliar then, not just ambition, but responsibility, and not just toward the city, toward her, because he realized something in that moment. If this failed, it would not just damage a model, it would bruise the fragile trust forming between them. We still have Deep Ellum and Bishop Arts after 1 card at a time, 1 card at a time. They walk back into the city together, unaware that by sunset, over 200 scans would register quietly in a dashboard neither of them had opened yet. They weren't chasing applause, they were building alignment, and though neither of them said it out loud, something else was forming between them. Something slower than momentum and steadier than excitement. Not intensity, not fireworks, but the beginning of trust under pressure, the kind that lasts longer than ink on cardstock. Chapter 2, The Dashboard. By the time they returned to the small office space they were renting off Jefferson Boulevard, the sun had shifted from gold to amber, washing the walls in a tired kind of light. The room wasn't impressive. 2 desks, a folding table, a white board still smudged from earlier projections, but it carried the hum of something beginning. Marcus dropped the remaining stack of cards onto the table and reached immediately for his laptop. Alicia didn't sit. She removed her shoes first, lined them neatly beneath the desk, then pulled her clipboard close. She preferred to review notes before reviewing outcomes. Wait, for what? For context, we measure after we reflect. He exhaled but leaned back in his chair. They reviewed the day the way athletes replay film. Who asked the hardest questions? Which neighborhoods scanned immediately? Which business owners hesitated? What objections repeated? Trust. That was the common theme. They'll trust it when they see numbers. They'll trust it when they understand governance. You really don't let emotion lead anything, do you? Emotion builds momentum. Structure sustains it. The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was thoughtful. Okay, open it. Marcus leaned forward and clicked into the analytics dashboard. The screen loaded, then refreshed, then settled. He blinked once. 212 resident registrations, 34 business interest forms, 17 confirmed small business signups. Neither spoke immediately. Marcus felt it first, the rush rising from his chest to his throat. Not celebration, not ego, validation. Look at the pattern. What pattern? The scans cluster around 3 areas: Oak Cliff, Bishop Arts, Deep Ellum. The church vestibule drove 27. The cafe drove 19. The barbershop 33. It's working. It's responding. There's a difference. He studied her profile again. She wasn't dampening the moment. She was grounding it. You don't get excited? I get cautious. Excitement can distort judgment. This is what I saw when I first imagined it: participation without begging, structure without dependency. She watched him move, restless, energized, carrying a belief that felt almost gravitational. And what happens when the next week drops to 50? It won't. You can't assume growth without friction. I'm not assuming growth. I'm assuming leadership. Leadership requires patience and courage. They were no longer just evaluating a dashboard. They were evaluating each other. Fox 4 email. Pre-interview call Thursday. Momentum. Preparation. You really won't let me have a full victory moment. I will. After we confirm retention metrics, you're unbelievable and you're impulsive. But it balances. She opened another tab and began reviewing the registration flow. Click-through rates, drop-off points, confirmation emails. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, disciplined and methodical. Marcus watched her quietly. He realized something uncomfortable and honest in that moment. He trusted her more than he trusted himself. Not because he lacked confidence, but because she saw what he didn't slow down enough to notice. Alicia, she glanced up. If this grows fast, I mean really fast, are you ready for that? Are you asking about the movement or about us? Both. The office felt smaller suddenly. Outside, traffic noise drifted faintly through the window. I don't fear growth, I fear instability. And if we stay aligned, then we can scale. I won't outrun you, and I won't hold you back. The dashboard refreshed automatically. 221 registrations. The number ticked upward by 9. Neither reacted outwardly this time. They simply looked at it together, not as dreamer and auditor, not as ignition and guardrail. But as two people beginning to understand that what they were building in the city was also being built between them, trust, like registration, accumulates quietly, one confirmation at a time. Chapter 3, Language Matters, The Fox. 4 pre-interview call was scheduled for Thursday at 10:15 a.m., which meant by Wednesday night the office felt less like a startup and more like a war room, not chaotic, focused. DFW's first community-controlled digital network. Too abstract, it's accurate, but accuracy doesn't guarantee clarity. What would you say? I would say this. Residents and businesses register. A portion circulates back into anti-bullying and local development. Transparent oversight, measurable impact. That's less poetic. It's more trustworthy. Register, circulate, reinvest. Better. The difference between them wasn't about belief anymore. It was about translation. The dashboard had crossed 300 registrations overnight. He hadn't said it out loud, but he checked the numbers before brushing his teeth that morning. You refresh too often. You don't refresh enough. I refresh strategically. Do you ever just feel it? Feel what? That this is bigger than us. Yes, which is why we can't treat it casually. I'm not casual about this. I know. That's what worries me. He didn't understand at first. When something matters to you, you run at it full speed. You don't pace, and you pace everything. Because I've seen what happens when speed outruns structure. Instead, he nodded slowly. Then keep pacing me, and you keep pushing me. The air felt different, less professional, more human. The phone buzzed on the desk, an email notification, subject line Toyota USA Foundation, follow-up questions. Already? Open it. The message was direct. Impressive proposal. Interested in workforce development alignment. Requesting projected 5-year sustainability model and third-party oversight outline. Marcus felt the familiar surge. Proof that the door was cracking open. Alicia felt something else. Responsibility multiplying. This changes the level. It accelerates it. It complicates it. We can handle complicated. Complicated means scrutiny. Good. You like scrutiny? I like being taken seriously. Being taken seriously means being transparent in ways that aren't comfortable. I don't mind uncomfortable. That includes personal exposure. I'm not hiding anything. That's not what I meant. Okay, 5-year sustainability. We mapped participation growth against workforce retention improvements. Show the anti-bullying impact metrics tied to graduation rates. And we emphasize community ownership. Ownership builds longevity. They worked for hours without noticing time. Numbers became projections. Projections became strategy. Strategy became language. You're the reason this won't collapse. It won't collapse because we're both here. Why did you say yes to this? To the initiative, to me? Because you believe without cynicism, and that's rare. And you, why did you want me involved? Because you don't flinch. Respect, trust, interdependence, built by participation, sustained by accountability. That's it, not just for the movement, for them. The dashboard refreshed again. 319 registrations. Growth was happening, but so was alignment, and alignment was more powerful than momentum alone. Chapter 4, Scrutiny. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of tension that doesn't announce itself loudly but hums beneath everything. The office felt smaller, the air slightly thinner, as if the walls understood that what happened in the next hour could shift the scale of everything. Marcus adjusted the camera angle for the Fox 4 pre-interview call twice before settling. He didn't like appearing uncertain. Alicia noticed anyway. You're fine. Answer directly. Don't over-explain. I don't over-explain. You absolutely do. The call connected at 10:15 sharp. The producer's face appeared on screen, composed and efficient. After brief introductions, the questions began immediately. What makes this different from previous community initiatives? It's participation-based. Every resident registers. Every business registers. A portion circulates back into anti-bullying and workforce development initiatives. It's structured reinvestment, not episodic charity. We've built transparent reporting into the system. Quarterly public dashboards, third-party oversight in progress. It's designed for accountability from the beginning. And what safeguards are in place if participation plateaus? We've modeled conservative growth curves. Even at modest participation levels, the allocation remains sustainable. We aren't dependent on spikes, we're building habit. Interesting. We'll schedule an in-studio segment next week. I'd also like to see your governance documentation, of course, in studio. That means scrutiny. You say that like it's a threat, it's a responsibility. We're stepping into visibility, and visibility amplifies mistakes. You always prepare for collapse. I prepare for sustainability. Do you ever let yourself enjoy the moment? Enjoyment is earned through endurance. You've been burned before. I've seen good ideas collapse under poor governance. I don't want that here. Neither do I. The email notification chimed again. Subject line, community concerns, transparency inquiry. A local activist group had questions about fund allocation, potential conflicts of interest, and long-term oversight. They don't even know us. They don't need to. They need clarity. This is what happens when you step forward. People assume the worst. This is what happens when you step forward publicly. You answer, and if they twist it, then we remain consistent. You don't get defensive. Defensiveness weakens credibility. And what weakens you? Instability. I won't destabilize this, I know. The dashboard refreshed quietly on the screen behind them. 372 registrations, 46 business interest forms, 23 confirmed partnerships. Neither rushed to the numbers. The real growth today wasn't on the dashboard, it was in resilience. We need to draft a public FAQ, address the transparency questions before they become rumors. You're always 2 steps ahead? No, I'm thinking about 5 years from now. 5 years from now, this will either be the model or a memory. Then we build it like it's permanent. You really believe in this. I believe in what it could become if we don't sabotage it. I'm not the sabotage, I know, but unchecked momentum can be. Outside, a siren wailed faintly in the distance. The city continued its rhythm, indifferent to their strategic calculations and emotional calibrations. We're going to get criticized, yes. We're going to be questioned, yes. And we're going to be stronger for it if we remain aligned. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't dramatic, it was a contract without paperwork, trust under scrutiny. As they released hands, the screen refreshed again. 381 registrations. Growth was steady, scrutiny was rising, and somewhere between dashboards and media calls, something deeper was forming. Not fueled by intensity, but by shared endurance. The movement was stepping into visibility, and so were they. Chapter 5, the first wave. The momentum didn't arrive all at once. It moved like weather, slow at first, then suddenly everywhere. Marcus noticed it on a Monday morning when his phone buzzed 3 times before he even poured coffee. Another 20 scans, then 15 more, then 12. He opened the laptop before sitting down, the screen lighting the dim office with a pale glow. The map visualization had changed overnight. What had once been clusters now looked like small constellations spreading outward. Oak Cliff, Arlington, Grand Prairie, Garland. Each scan a tiny pulse. Each pulse a person deciding to participate. You checked the dashboard already, she said. It wasn't a question. Of course I did. Interesting, she murmured. What? Look at the timestamps. Before work, he said. That means people are sharing the cards at home. The idea lingered between them for a moment. Not marketing, conversation, kitchen tables, family discussions, group chats. That's organic spread. That's trust, she corrected. We should track the neighborhoods with the highest early adoption, she said. Those are potential volunteer hubs. You're already planning expansion. I'm planning stability. You always are. The office felt warmer than usual. Sunlight sliding through the windows and catching the edge of the whiteboard where their phrases still stood. Register, circulate, reinvest. Marcus stood and added a new line beneath it. Community built, community owned. That works, she said. High praise. You're learning. You know something? What? You're starting to sound optimistic. I'm starting to see patterns. Patterns mean it's working. Patterns mean it's repeatable. The phone rang. A local cafe owner. I just registered. You guys have window stickers? Marcus. Not yet, owner VO. Well, if we're part of this thing, people should know. That's the first time someone asked to signal membership. Visibility increases adoption. You're thinking window decals and storefront signage. You're getting ambitious. I'm responding to demand. You like this? He said quietly. I like progress and the mission. That too. The dashboard refreshed again. 504 registration. That jump happened in the last hour. Look at the source. A church youth group had posted the QR code link in their online newsletter. Dozens of families had registered within minutes. This is the first wave. It's the first signal. You never let yourself celebrate. I celebrate by preparing. That might be the most Alicia sentence ever spoken. We should visit that church today. Yes. Why? Because early supporters shape culture. That's smart. They gathered the remaining stack of cards and headed toward the door. Before leaving, Marcus glanced once more at the dashboard. The number had climbed again, 516. He felt something shift inside him. Not excitement this time, but responsibility expanding. Outside, the city looked the same as it had yesterday. Traffic flowed, people moved through their routines, storefronts opened their doors, but beneath the ordinary rhythm, a quiet network was forming, not controlled by institutions, not directed by advertising, built by participation. This is the phase where attention increases and scrutiny follows. Yes, are you ready for that? She met his gaze with the same steady calm she always carried. We're ready, he nodded, not because he was certain, but because she was beside him. And together they walked back into the city, toward the church, toward the next set of conversations, toward a future that was beginning to look less like an idea and more like a structure, one registration at a time. And though neither of them said it out loud, they both felt it. This was no longer just a project, it was becoming a movement. And movements, once they begin, rarely stay small for long. Chapter 6. The Signal. The church sat on a quiet corner where two residential streets met, the kind of place most people passed without noticing unless they had reason to stop. A modest brick building, white doors, a small patch of grass that had seen decades of Sunday footsteps. Marcus, that's where the wave started. Alicia, not a wave, a signal. Marcus, you're going to keep correcting that, aren't you? Alicia, yes. Teen, that's the QR thing. Marcus, you registered? Teen, yeah, our youth pastor sent it out. Pastor, I figured you two might come by. Marcus. Why is that? Pastor. Because the link got shared faster than I expected. Pastor. We put them out Sunday morning. Parents asked questions. Most of them liked the anti-bullying initiative part. Alicia. That's where 20% of the circulation fund goes? We're building mentorship and support programs? Pastor. People respond when they see the structure behind the intention. Narrator. Marcus glanced at Alicia. Structure. Her word again. Narrator. They spent nearly an hour there answering questions, explaining the participation model, and listening to concerns. A few parents asked about privacy. A business owner asked about reporting transparency. Alicia answered each one with careful clarity. Narrator. Marcus noticed something interesting. When she spoke, people leaned closer, not because she was louder, because she was precise. Narrator. By the time they left the church, another 20 registrations had appeared on the dashboard. Marcus. It's spreading. Alicia. It's connecting. Marcus. You're determined not to let me romanticize this, Alicia. I'm determined to keep it grounded. Marcus. You know what's strange, Alicia. What? Marcus. This doesn't feel like marketing, Alicia. It isn't, Marcus. It feels like something else, Alicia. Community architecture. Narrator. When they returned to the office, a small envelope sat beneath the door. Marcus picked it up. No return address. Narrator. Inside was a handwritten note. Saw the cards at the cafe. Registered my family. My son has been bullied for years. Thank you for trying something different. So the Kansanti Samsi Ingasi Azarti Inamrati Anasi at a thirst. Marcus read it twice before setting it on the desk. Neither of them spoke immediately. The room felt quieter than before. Marcus, that's why this matters. Alicia, yes. Narrator, the dashboard refreshed. 602 registrations. Marcus, that's more than numbers now. Alicia, it always was. Marcus, you carry this heavier than I do. Alicia, because I know what the problem looks like up close. Narrator. Bullying wasn't an abstract concept for her. It was personal. Narrator. The silence.